soaringme.com. In this installment, we're going to discuss tough interview questions. My name is Michael Miller. Let me just start by giving you a little bit of the background of what probably happened in the company before you went to your interview. Now, in Fortune 100 companies, this is a lot more formal. In small to mid-sized companies, same concept, but not as formalized. But at some point, the powers that be have decided that they're going to create a position. They want to hire somebody because they have certain things they need an employee to do for them. So they have a discussion amongst themselves, come up with a list of duties that this person is going to have, and that discussion rolls into a discussion on what type of employee will be successful in this type of role. From there, the recruiter gets involved. There is a job description that comes out of that, then a job ad that the recruiter puts on the company website and probably some external sites that maybe you replied to. Also, out of that comes the questions I'm going to ask you in the interview. Because the objective that you should have coming into any interview is to convince me that you fit the profile that we as a company had painted in those discussions we had. What's going to make a successful employee in this role? Well, that's what we're trying to ask in the interviews, and that's what you need to convey. So, first thing you should know, your success or failure in the interview is most likely going to come down to how often you prepare. Now, I don't mean getting in there word for word and knowing your answers exactly, but let me take you through a couple of the steps as far as practicing. First off, any of your answers on these non-behavioral based interview questions typically are going to run around 25 to 30 seconds. They need to be concise and on topic, relate to the question that I'm asking, and also relate to the job that we're talking about, that profile of this successful employee that we have in mind that we're looking for. Where you're most likely going to find that before your interview is the job ad. The same things that I figured out what I'm going to ask you are the things that I put into the job ad most likely. So duties, I would take a close look at what the duties are going to be. Qualifications, whatever's in that job ad, you can probably gain a lot of insight in terms of what I'm likely to ask you in the interview process. Okay, so I would start there, try to get an understanding of what you anticipate some of those questions are going to be. I would also take an honest look at your resume. If there are gaps of employment, I'm likely to ask you about that. If there are short stays at an employer, again, likely to ask you about that. If there are career moves that aren't obvious, such as you went for an art degree and now you're going for an accounting job, doesn't really make sense, I'm likely to ask you why and how you came up with that idea, and do you really know what you're getting yourself into, those types of questions. Because frankly, we don't want to hire somebody, train somebody, and then 2 to 3 months they realize it wasn't the job they thought it was going to be. They leave. We have to repost the job, re-interview, retrain. All that cost, time, and expense puts us behind. So look at it from the company's point of view. What we're trying to accomplish is spelled out in the job ad. You know, there are also just some common interview questions that a lot of people consider to be tough. Probably the most common you should prepare for, that you are likely to run into, is a variation of the question or the statement, so tell me about yourself, or let's start with a quick overview. Can you just give us an idea of your background and experiences? Whatever the variation is, the tell me about yourself interview question is something that you should be very comfortable and confident in. The more confident your answer, the more comfortable you seem in your own skin, the less I'm going to follow up with more questions, because I'm, again, trying to picture you in my mind as this profile that we came up with that would be successful in this job. So, on our websites, both soaringcareer.com and soaringme.com, you'll find at the bottom, down at the footer somewhere, the logo for WordPress, the little W. Click on that and you will find a blog covering 50 tough interview questions. I would review that. Those are common questions that you run into a lot when you're interviewing. The tell me about yourself, the what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, why should we hire you and not somebody else, things along that lines. So in terms of your preparation, cover those common tough interview questions, cover the likely interview questions off of your resume, and cover the likely questions you'll get based on what you read in the job ad. Now, when you go through and get an understanding as to what the profile is that I'm likely looking for and the questions that you're likely to be asked, or variations of the questions you're likely to be asked, it's just a matter of going through your background and organizing your thoughts and making sure that you are comfortable with the answers that you're going to give. You can do that by practicing with your significant other. You can do that by calling your own cell phone voicemail and listening to the answer you give to tell me about yourself. That'll give you an idea as to whether you're actually 90 or 120 seconds, which is way to run on. It'll also give you an idea as to whether or not it's confidently said, it's got some impact, and it matches what you view as that profile the company has come up with. Follow these and prepare instead of winging it, and you will seriously increase your odds of succeeding in your interview process. Thank you very much. Please share this and our other online videos with others, and good luck in your interview process.